Okay, Rick, I think we do a quick one. You up for it?
Yes, sir. Let's roll.
Okay, great. This is called Stay Away from the Chollas. And I think here in the desert, in the desert Southwest, that the Chollas, I think somebody might correct me, but they're the jumping cactuses. So, one day I was walking into the house and I have a little cholla outside and I got a little close, man. So I got, the chollas jumped. And they have these little, very small needles that go in you, and you really can't pull them out without tweezers. And I researched on the internet, and they say take like Scotch tape, and patch your whatever the spot is that the chollas got in, and you'll start to pull all the needles out. It's painful, but you'll pull them out. And so I think about that with the little things in life that are like thorns, right? And you feel like you've removed the thorn, in this case, one of the little needles from a cholla, you feel like you moved one, and then you get triggered again. It touches your pant leg, or you walk by something and you're like, oh, I thought I got all this out and I didn't. And so it's kind of like that little residual pain points that you still have. And I think that what the practice has shown me is that the moment that I think I've overcome something, like, oh my God, I got this acceptance thing nailed down. Just you wait. You'll be pushed. You will discover a new edge, and then you're like, oh, there needs to be work here too. And so the practice is never ending, man. And I think that's what the Buddha was talking about, is that this is a lifelong journey. But if you're committed to it, you will experience a lot of peace. I mean, you're gonna move through life anyway. You might as well have a practice that helps you appreciate and experience the best of it along the way. And I think that when I'm aware that I can be triggered at any moment, or, I didn't get all the needles out, then the thing is not to get involved and like, oh, why is this happening? There are more needles there, but to just remove that one too, and then get back to being present and living. What does it mean to you, Rick?
Well, as you were speaking, I think those are great examples and a good lesson. As you were speaking, I was reminded of a seminar that was offered to lawyers not too long ago. And I took it. It was an interesting seminar. It was called How to Deal with Porcupines. And the porcupine quill is similar to the cholla barb in that you're dealing with stuff that's distasteful. And in lawyering, think of this, unlike medicine, where you're basically dealing with trying to bring about a result that nature has created, and you can use scientific principles to sort of tease out what works and what doesn't, and you have a body of literature which will guide you to the right result, and you can try different things based on things that have occurred before. So medicine is basically man trying to figure out his way with nature. Lawyering is completely different. Lawyering, especially when you're dealing with litigation, is all about some guy on the other side who's equally determined, equally bright, equally resourceful, erasing everything that you try to do. So when you're dealing with porcupines, it makes it even worse because the lawyer on the other side could be a complete jerk. So it's not like a doc who's working on trying to solve a problem that nature has created. It's you're dealing in law with dealing with a guy on the other side who may be a complete cholla cactus. Okay, so the seminar that I took, I thought was interesting, as I say, but what it missed, and I think what our practice gives us, is the strength just to simply avoid a lot of the drama. So many self-help books are caught up with this idea about how to deal with argumentative people, or what are the best counter arguments to people that who make arguments that don't make sense to you or are hurtful. Well, that involves a psychology of engagement. And what I think is appropriate for the cholla and for the porcupine and for a load of horse manure in the middle of the street is to simply walk around them, to simply avoid them, to simply detach from them. Now, my point is that it's not an engagement. The practice is about maintaining your highest and best self within an elevated consciousness. And that means detaching from a lot of people who want to engage, who want to push your buttons. And the more you engage, the less opportunity there is for you to actually have that inner peace that you're trying to cultivate. So getting to the cholla porcupine manure idea is walk around it. Yeah, it's easy. We can go to the manure in the street and pick it up and play with it and say, man, I can deal with this. Okay, maybe you can, but why not? Why start? Why not just walk around the manure pile?
Oh, I so agree. I mean, Rick, and I, every time I walk into the house, I take the long way around. I bought the cholla. I mean, I'm not.
That's right.
Someone's like, you can dig the cholla up. Well, that's engaging with the cholla. As you
That's
mentioned,
right.
the cholla is beautiful. The cholla is perfect, exactly as it is, and I don't have to disturb it. And I think about the same. That's a metaphor for what my mind says shouldn't be happening, or this person shouldn't be doing this, or this person shouldn't even be existing. Sometimes we'll go to that. But even when that happens, I say to myself, I don't have to comment on that. And I don't comment. When I have friends who want to engage in conversation that I think is counterproductive, or isn't helpful to helping me maintain peacefulness, or isn't helpful to peacefully resolving an issue. If I think I have friends like that, or if I get accused of something, what I've learned, what I've been practicing, and it came from Eckhart Tolle, is don't defend and don't explain. Just don't.
That's
engage.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Don't defend and don't explain. And I tell people like, well, and I've had people say to me like, you aren't saying anything. There's nothing to say. There's literally nothing to say. And for some people, I've had to tell ahead of time, like, hey, listen, I know we've had this thing in the past where, one of us may bring something up, and then I would feel the need to be like, no, you got that all wrong. This is not what I was trying to do. You read that wrong. I was like, moving forward, I'm not going to do that anymore. Now, because of the way that we've done this song and dance, and the way that I've been conditioned, and perhaps you've been conditioned, it's going to seem like I'm indifferent, that I don't care. No, it's because I do care, that I'm not spoiling this precious moment that will never be here again with that behavior. So I'm not going to expand, I'm not going to explain, and I'm not going to defend. Now, if you want to create a different kind of experience in the present moment, I'm all about that, like all about it. And if there's a conversation we need to have, the ground rules is that it's only conversation that's going to be constructive, to where we are both trying to navigate coming back to a place of being centered, being connected, and loving kindness and compassion and gratitude being present. Now, if you want to work to that end, then that's a conversation. It's no defending, it's no argument, it's none of those things. And so what I found is that that's been really key with dealing with people or interacting with them, is not defending and not explaining. And therefore, I don't get impacted by chollas. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a cholla. I don't want to be a cholla, Rick.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of the monitoring process that you learn in the practice, that you're always self-aware. Am I being a cholla? Is it really me? I mean, am I bringing out the needles in somebody else? Did I start this fight? Right. And it's hard to be honest about that, but it's often true that you're the one who did it in some subtle way that raised the hackles of someone else and caused them to be defensive. Just be mindful of everything that you do, and be careful about where you go down the negativity dark hole. The negativity dark hole is self-reinforcing. It'll continue to reinforce more darkness. The darker you go, there's always another level below that. So you've got to be careful about taking that step down to the negativity lane, because it's very difficult to climb out. It's better just to monitor and say, okay, I'm feeling this because of that, and let it go.
Yeah, Rick, I totally agree, man. I like that. Like, am I being the cholla, and did I start this? And it could be something incredibly small. I mean, the ego knows what it's doing, but you may not be aware.
That's right.
Because it reacts so fast. You've had a long day at work, you walk in, and I used this example before, and you're like, oh, it must be nice. To your significant other, that you didn't have to work today. And there it is. That's the first cholla that's going out. Instead of saying, hey, I'm so happy to see you, you walk in, to your loved one, or it could be any number of things that you say that is not coming from that place. Or it's like, well, nobody asked me about my day. It's like, there it is. It's like you're setting up this stage, this battleground. It doesn't have to be that. Why do you need somebody to ask about your day? It may be nice, but if they didn't, that's cool too. you're not going to be bothered by something that trivial that somebody didn't ask about your day or somebody didn't say thank you. And those are the kind of things that would just throw me off my game, man. Next thing you know, I'm out there being a cholla, being that porcupine. So yeah, so I don't want to be either, man. I just want to be mellow and peaceful and be a contribution. That's it.
And you already are. So come on up here to Sedona to spread some of that kindness, man. I'm waiting for it.
Okay, let's do it, Rick. I love you, man.
I love you. Adios.
Adios. Good.